This, I hope, ends up in a video, and I would really like to be successful at vlogging. I have tried so many times to vlog, like reading books and having like live reactions, but the vlogs just never turned out how I wanted them to, and they always ended up being too long. So I'm just gonna film for the weekend. So I'm gonna talk about the books that I plan on reading. So I am about, I think, 40 pages into a classic sci-fi book called The Long Tomorrow by Lee Brackett. This is a, I'd say, post-apocalyptic story where humanity has, 100 years before, or 50 years before, there's been a nuclear war, and so most of humanity was wiped out, and the remnants of humanity are living as Mennonites, and like Amish communities, basically. We're the only ones to survive. And so everyone is like farmers and like living off the land again, and there's a lot of like religious fervor. I'm reading it very slowly. I read in physically in small chunks, but I'm excited. I'm excited to finish this. The other book I'm wanting to read is Down Comes the Night, which is, I'll put it up here, a library book that I have. This is the audiobook that I hope to listen to. Now, this is a historical fiction with fantasy elements, but it's like a gothic horror. But then I found out it was also gay. So I was like, okay, this is like ticking, tick, 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 all these boxes. So I'm super excited about it. I haven't started it yet, but I hope this gives me some real good vibes. It is Friday, the 12th of March, and I still have to work today. I'm in my bathrobe, so I will update you maybe when my work date is over, and maybe once I have started reading. It is about 4 o'clock, end of the workday, and I have a couple things that I want to accomplish tonight. I will update you when something interesting happens in my life, which is rare, or I read a significant chunk of the book. Okay, I lied. Well, I didn't lie, but I'm not going to be reading. I'm actually going to go on a walk with my friend. Oh, it's going to be so lovely. We're going to a doggy park with our dogs, and we're just going to be outside for a little bit before dinner time. So I read like 2 pages. Hi, good morning. Unfortunately, insomnia had hit me kind of hard last night, so I didn't sleep super great. So when that happens, I try to be gentle on myself, and just kind of take the day slow. Like, still try to accomplish a few things to, feel like I did something with my day, but maybe lower my expectations when the insomnia is really bad. So hopefully I'll make some good progress in Down Comes the Night. The cat is playing right underneath you. It's a beautiful day today, so hopefully I can muster up some strength and verve to go outside for a bit, maybe go for a short walk. I am outside, look at me. Sorry for the yard noises. I'm about 20% into Down Comes the Night, and like, my teenage self is absolutely loving this book. Like, I am actually quite enjoying it. It is, the main character, Ren, is the type of main character I really enjoyed as a teenager. She's headstrong and stubborn, and she's kind of ruled by her emotions, which to some people might be frustrating, but for me, like, my teenage self loves that type of character. So like, I as an adult can recognize that maybe that's a little bit annoying. She seems like a kind of a typical YA heroine in her personality, but I'm I'm a sucker for it. So I'm liking it. Other things about this that I like is the female romance. Ren, the main character, is in love with her commanding officer, who's a female, and they love each other, but since they're in the military, they can't be together, so that pining is great. And now is where the plot kind of kicks off. It's great. It's super angsty. I don't think everyone is going to like this. If you are a YA fan, I think you would enjoy this. It has a lot of angst. And it has that, you know, YA heroine that I enjoy, but I recognize not everyone would love. And so I actually feel pretty awake, and hopefully this day won't be a complete wash. The main character has met the love interest, and you know, there's that angsty teen enemies. You know, they're on opposite sides of the main conflict, and so I'm just, you know, I'm eating it up. I can recognize that this is not, I'd say, groundbreaking in its character work, in like the types of characters we have here. It's not, you know, it's got a fun magic system, but again, I don't think it's like super different or standout-ish. It's just a good time. I'm just enjoying it. Like, I don't know if this will be like a favorite, but I'm only like 25% in, so we'll see how the character relationship between the main character and the love interest plays out, and the atmosphere at this like spooky house. So we will see. Look who's here. My sweet dog Hiccup. Good morning. Got coffee and a yogurt parfait. I'm feeling really good today, and it is a beautiful day today, so hopefully I can accomplish a few things as well as get a lot of reading done. So today I need to do some grocery shopping. I need to finish some laundry from yesterday, and maybe take the dogs on a walk. He heard me. Take you on a walk? Didn't end up vlogging last night. I ended up hanging out with my husband. We played Stardew Valley together on the couch for like 3 hours, and it was lovely. So this morning I'm just gonna kind of chill. It's like 8:30 in the morning, so I've got lots of time. Quick update. I've read now 50% of Down Comes the Night, and I'm not enjoying it as much anymore. It's not quite as atmospheric and spooky as I wanted it to be, but you don't feel it, you know what I mean? So that, along the fact that this is very like insta-love romance-y, even though they are enemies. We have a main character who's very stereotypical YA feminine hero who's very reckless and emotional, which typically I enjoy. It's just the combination of the predictability and like the lack of atmosphere and like the plot and the mystery is just moving really slow. 50% in, I'm like, eh. Look at me go, being a productive adult. Back from shopping, and now food prep for lunches this week and possibly dinner tonight. And I'm also embarking on making some sushi. I've never done it before, and if all else fails, I will just eat a sushi bowl. So here we go. Seasoned rice, filling, spices, seaweed. This is the scary part. I don't have one of those like rolly mat things, so this is probably going to be horrifying. Oh my god, it looks like real sushi! What? So like, it's not super pretty, but like, it's a thing. It's pretty close. And look, I've got lunch tomorrow. I'm gonna try one of these. They're messy as hell. Oh my god. Oh my god. So messy. So good. Okay, verdict on the homemade sushi. It was very tasty. However, I think I put too much rice in the roll and not enough filling. So I have extra filling. So when I eat my lunch portion tomorrow, I will just like add more of the, you know, yummy bits on the inside. But the sauces were good. The rice was fabulous. The seaweed was actually pretty good considering it was just like store-bought and like prepackaged. So yeah, success. I just finished a Zoom call with my sisters, so I am feeling really good. And I've now read about 65–70% of Down Comes the Night. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I kind of want to know what happens, but I'm not really enjoying the book. So it's kind of, it's one of those books where like, I don't really need to think about it. It's not like really taxing, so I can do other things while reading. So like, for example, I was making sushi and listening to the book. And now I'm gonna probably, you know, fold my laundry and listen. So I don't necessarily need to be like fully engaged. That is the update. My husband will be home soon. So at the very least, I will, you know, end the vlog at some point and wrap up everything I was able to read this weekend. And yeah, I will see you soon. So this whole video is kind of experimental for me to see if vlogging is a style of video editing that I'm comfortable with. So this is kind of my first venture into making vlogging a part of my channel. So I would really love to know your opinions and constructive feedback down below. I'm a little nervous about this one. I'm not the most put together and whatnot, so I'm a little extra self-conscious about this one. And I also have a little bit of a different angle doing this conclusion portion of the video. So let me know also what you think of this view of the bookshelves, a more wide, far away look. First of all, Sushi Day 2 update. Sushi is just, for me, a vehicle for wasabi. I had so much wasabi. Like, if I'm not making weird sounds while I'm eating sushi because I haven't put enough wasabi on it. It was a success, and I hope that you enjoyed that portion of this video. As far as other things I did this weekend, I had a really great time with family this weekend, virtually and in person. I was able to do several Zoom calls with my husband's side of the family and my sisters, and I got to see my niece this weekend, and that was just very lovely. I also got to go on a super long walk with my best friend, and you know, we had our dogs play together, and that was just so much fun. So it was for me, a really busy weekend. I am actually quite surprised with how much I actually had going on, other than reading. Normally I don't do much of anything. I usually just stay home and you know, have more time to read. So it was kind of an interesting weekend to pick to do a reading vlog. So as far as my physical book, I read 2 pages of The Long Tomorrow by Lee Brackett. Obviously, I wanted to read quite a bit more of this physically, but you know, I sacrificed reading physically with playing Stardew Valley on my Switch. So I was still able to listen to an audiobook while I was playing, but that just meant that my wrist couldn't handle holding up a physical book. So this was a little bit of a fail, but hopefully I will finish this soon, since it has taken me a couple of weeks to get through this. Not because the book is bad by any means, it's just I haven't been able to sit down and crack open a physical book. It's just been a lot easier to read audiobooks lately. As far as the audiobook I read Down Comes the Night in its entirety this weekend. So the audiobook is 12.5 hours roughly, and I read it at 1.5 speed. So total, that's according to my library, I read 8 hours and 55 minutes of this audiobook. And page count wise, that's 400 pages. And unfortunately, this book didn't quite deliver for me. So it was kind of a fail reading weekend wise, because this book just wasn't it. The biggest issues I took with this book was there's no chemistry between the main character and the love interest. I really dislike when the only chemistry that 2 characters have is they just stare at each other lovingly, longingly, and that's supposed to count as chemistry. And they also have this healing bond. So the main character is a magical healer, and she heals her love interest, and they can feel each other through this healing bond, which is just like so, in my opinion, for me, very cliche and just very contrived. So the romance didn't work for me. This was sort of gay, but like the main character pretty much forgets about Una, her commanding officer, as soon as she meets the male love interest. So it was like, it didn't feel like the main character was bisexual. You know, so it just felt really weird to me. I did not like it. I'm not even gay, and it felt kind of forced. There were a lot of other things that bothered me about this book. It is a standalone, which is nice. However, it packed a lot of world building into one volume, and it just, again, I don't think was very successful. And there was an interesting magic system, but I don't think it was explored enough. The villain was okay. The conclusion, like the last scene of the book, or one of the last scenes of the book, the male love interest saves the female main character from the villain at the end. So it was just like, I love YA. I truly do. I love YA, but nothing about this made this book particularly interesting for a young adult book. The main character was very tropey. She was a very stereotypical YA white heroine. People always tell her her emotions are her weakness, but by the end she's like, oh, my emotions are a good thing. And it's just like, that's just such a boring internal struggle that I just was not intrigued at all by basically any of this book. So a little bit of a fail for this one. I ended up giving it 2 stars. This was just not it for me. So while I read this book in its entirety, I was tempted to DNF it and just give it back to the library. But I honestly pushed through for this vlog, which I don't know if it was worth it. Hopefully you enjoyed my live reactions and, you know, following me along with my weekend. So I hope you enjoyed this vlog, even though the reading portion was a little bit of a fail. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!